In the following tutorial, I will cover overlays and decals in Left 4 Dead and Hammer Source. These are the two things that I use to help to create more depth in your environment. They help to break up the repetitiveness of the texture, and they add a lot more variety to your environment. They're very much used in all of Valve's maps, and they're an important part of adding detail to your environment. The way you place decals and overlays is there's two buttons on the left hand side. This one right here that looks like a box with a target on it is info decal, and the one on the bottom below that is the overlay. So the question is, which one do you use? 90% of all the maps that Valve did for Left 4 Dead is they used overlays over decals. Decals can only be applied to geometry, such as any BSP geometry in your world, and overlays can be applied to any BSP geometry as well as displacement. So the way you do that is by selecting info decal. You'll see a little icon come up. First you have to go into your face edit sheet, into your texture browser. By clicking on it, if you type it into filter decals, all the decals in the game come up, the ones that you're able to use. When you filter for decals, these are the same decals that you can use for overlays as well. So let's say I want to use something like this, this graffiti. So by double clicking, applying this, I'm able to put this on the wall. Now here comes the big downside of using decals. Once you apply this to your surface, this is pretty much it. You can only move it. You cannot resize it, you cannot rotate it, and worse than that, you cannot apply it to a displacement map. And so the limited usability of an info decal, this is it right here. You can apply it to a wall, and if it doesn't fit the wall, then you're out of luck. So let me show you if I was to apply something different. So let's say I wanted to apply something like this, and it blows up, and it's a lot bigger than the surface of our wall, but I'm stuck with it. So the info decal, you have what you have, and that's it. And there's only a handful of decals that work with the proper sizes inside Hammer. So one of them is this bulletin board. It'll fit accordingly. So that's the info decal, and it's very limited in its use, as well as you cannot apply it to the surface of a displacement map. So if I try to apply it, it will not conform to it. It'll just kind of get lost. So you can only apply it to any of the brushes, any of the surfaces that you have in your as a BSP geometry, and that's it. Now the next one is overlay, and overlays are a lot more powerful, and it is what Valve used most of the time in their maps. So let's try to use that. So let's use the same thing as we used here on this wall right here. So by clicking on the info overlay, I'm able to place it right here, and you'll get a little jitter that's going back and forth, so don't worry about that. It'll show up and render in the game just fine. So by clicking on it in here, I'm able to change any of the other decals, and the beauty of it is I can go in and I can resize my overlay to any size that I want. I can also rotate it, and another thing is if I need to put it on a displacement map, so let's choose something that's appropriate to our displacement. If I need to go and I put it over displacement map, it'll orient and it'll go over displacement map and it'll align itself to our terrain. So that's very powerful for overlays. And again, don't worry about this flickering. It's just something that happens in the editor, but it will not happen in the game. So another powerful thing of the info overlays is they conform themselves to the brush and the face we have this on. So when we applied something like a big sign that stretches past the entire brush, we were stuck with this. With info overlay, if we apply the same texture, you can see that it conformed itself to the brush that we had selected. We can also resize any of it to, right now it looks like it's a bit stretched out, so if we pull this up, it works just as we anticipated and as we needed to. So that is the difference between overlays and decals. My recommendation is to use overlays over decals, and use decals only when it works for you on that specific brush. So that is the main difference between overlays and decals.